Hello, GOTC newbies. This video, the topic will be our stable and our cavalry troops. So, what do we want to know about our cavalry troops? So, cavalry troops have several advantages, okay? They're high-speed troops, so they're good for when you're running around hunting creatures. They're the fastest troops. They also, if you go out to the little farm sawmills or lumber camps, your stone quarries, the iron mines that are out on the map, and you want to empty them as fast as you can put cavalry troops in them. They'll empty those faster. Same thing, there's events called strategic node events. I'll do a video on those later on. So with strategic node events, they'll empty the node faster, so they collect faster. Your cavalry march faster, they empty the farms and sawmills and those types of nodes faster. The high speed makes them the ideal troop type if your overall goal is that you want to get an SOP, a seat of power. When it unlocks, other players will be waiting too. The higher level cavalry troops you're making, the faster they are. So you'll need full marches of cavalry troops to run at that SOP at high speed. So really, that's a good choice. They also have the highest base attack of all troops, so their attack stats are higher. There's very good gear you can make in your smithy for pretty much all situations with cavalry troops, and they're strong against ranged troops. So those are your primary advantages of your cavalry troops. Now, disadvantages of cavalry troops is a lot of people have them. Cavalry on cavalry fights, is equal force there. But they are weak against infantry troops. So you have to remember when fighting against infantry troops, you have a player that's particularly heavy on their infantry stats are high. Your cavalry are weak against them, okay? If a march of infantry versus a march of cavalry, you're going to have a little bit of a disadvantage if you're using a cavalry march, okay? The infantry will just be stronger against them. So with that being said, let's take a look at our stable overall. So when we hit info on our stable, it tells you this is where we train cavalry that excel in offense. They have that great attack there, highest base attack. This just tells you that based on the level of the stable, what the base training capacity of the stable is. You can have gear, you can have research, things like that that'll increase dragon talents. Some of the dragon talents will increase your training capacity, things like that. So this is just your base training capacity here. So if you go to this eye in the upper right hand corner, you can see that it lists every level of your stable. So if you have your stable, like this one's at a level 12 in this baby keep here. So at a level 1 stable, you can only train squires. You have to have a level 4 for the T2 outriders, a level 7 for T3 cavalry, T4 lancers, T5 mounted archers, T6 mounted champions, T7 mounted spearmen at stable level 19. You unlock your T8 troops at stable level 22, and those are your heavy lancers, and so on and so forth. The power along the sidebar shows you, if you have a level 12 stable, it's going to add 7,000 to your total power bar at the top. So if you go in here and you hit train, you'll notice some different things. So if you have a little T1 and you're training one of them, it's going to cost you 87 food per troop. T2s are 150 food. T3s, 221 food each. T4s, boom. All of a sudden, it's not only 277 food, but it's 17 wood and 3 stone. Okay? And then the 5s unlock at level 13. So let's just look at the difference between a level 1 and a level 4 cavalry troop for now. So if you hit the eye over here in the left-hand corner, you'll see that for this little level 1 T1 cavalry troop, that he's got a power of 2, he's got an attack of 8, defense of 10, health of 10, but look at his speed is 16. And that's just a little T1 cavalry has got a speed of 16. His troop load, as you might notice, is a little lower than some of the other troop types we've talked about, which means if you're attacking an enemy keep with him, and your goal is to, steal all their food and wood and stone, each cavalry T1 troop is only going to take 3 back from that march, okay? They're going to eat 0.32 food an hour per troop, and they do 0 wall damage. So, if your goal is to damage someone's wall to port their keep out of your way, you can't send cavalry, nor range, nor infantry, because they do no wall damage. Only your siege can damage walls. Same at a seat of power, only your siege can damage the wall. So that's important. At a seat of power, when it first unlocks and no one is occupying it, all that matters is speed, right? You've got to get your cavalry troops, the highest level cavalry troops you can, so that you can race to that seat of power right as it unlocks, and to defeat it. We'll talk all about that later. There's a lot more to it than that. That's just a basic. But if you look at the 4s over here, you'll see the difference in their speed is now 15. Their attack is a 20. And their defense is 18. Their troop load is only 4. And they're eating 1.28 food per hour. So if you really want to get a good idea at the difference in the speed of these different troops, we can look over, with this one being a speed of 15, its attack is 20 here, and defense is only 18. So remember that. Attack 20, defense 18, and the speed is 15. So if we look over here at our infantry, for instance, and we go to a 4 here, we've got an attack of 18, defense is 20, and the speed is only 9. Okay? So that's kind of the difference here. And you see the attack, the defense is lower, speed is much higher. Okay? So you really want to remember that. And, if you forget what the stats are, you can see down here the charge that they have an advantage against ranged troops, and that sort of thing. So, it gives you a little basic overview of them there. Again, there's a dismiss button here that you do not dismiss troops in Game of Thrones Conquest on a regular basis, all right? It's a war game. The only time you're going to use that dismiss feature, typically, is if you've made a keep that is not your main keep. It's just one that you plan to make some resources in and attack it and steal the resources out of it to farm before you attack it with the troops from your main. If you've created troops to get Tyrion's rewards or, for daily quests, to get rewards, you train some troops, or if there's a troop training event when you've done that, that's when you use that dismiss button that you find in here. Otherwise, we don't dismiss troops in Game of Thrones Conquest. So highlights again. Cavalry high speed, empty nodes faster, those farm sawmills and things. They're the ones you want to send after, those unlocking unoccupied SOPs, so you have the fastest marches. They have the highest base attack, good gear, and they're strong against range. And their disadvantage, there's a lot of people with them, and they're weak against infantry. All right, this is Mistress Yoda signing out. Have a good night.